Have you ever wondered why you can remember your first kiss, but forget what you had for breakfast? The brain's memory system is both brilliant and bizarre, blending the past with the present in ways we're only beginning to understand. Memory isn't just about recalling facts. It's a complex dance of neurons, synapses, and chemical signals that shape our identity and guide our actions. Today, we're diving into the biology of memory, how the brain encodes, stores, and retrieves information, and what happens when that process goes wrong. This isn't just about what you remember. It's about why you remember it, and how your brain decides what to keep and what to forget. So, what's the first step in this journey? Let's start with the very basics, how memory is formed in the first place. So, what exactly are we talking about? Memory isn't just a single thing. It's a whole system of processes in the brain. We're diving into how the brain encodes, stores, and retrieves memories. When we experience something, our brain captures that moment. It's like a camera taking a snapshot, but the brain does this through electrical and chemical signals. Once a memory is formed, it's stored in different parts of the brain. The hippocampus acts like a control center, organizing and linking new memories to older ones. But memory isn't just about storage. It's also about retrieval. The brain has to pull that information out when we need it, like a librarian finding a specific book on a shelf. And here's the thing, memories can fade or change over time. That's why some memories are stronger than others, and why some people can recall details from decades ago. You might think memory is just about remembering your grocery list, but it's actually shaping every decision you make, from what you eat to who you trust. When you remember a lesson, you're not just recalling facts, you're also recalling how you felt, where you were, and what you thought at the time. Understanding how memory works can help you improve your focus, reduce stress, and even protect your brain from diseases like Alzheimer's. Every time you learn something new, you're essentially rewiring your brain. This is the power of memory, and it's happening right now. By caring about memory, you're not just caring about your past. You're caring about your future, your relationships, and your sense of self. Let's rewind to 1879. Hermann Ebbinghaus, a German psychologist, started experimenting with memory by memorizing nonsense syllables. He developed the first memory curve, showing how we forget over time. His work laid the foundation for modern memory research. In the 1950s, Richard Atkinson and Richard Schifrin introduced the multi-store model. They proposed that memory has three parts: sensory memory, short-term memory, and long-term memory. This model helps categorize how we process and store information. Fast forward to the 1970s, and the discovery of long-term potentiation, LTP, by Terje Momo and Eric Kandel changed everything. They showed that repeated stimulation strengthens synaptic connections, which is now understood as a key mechanism for memory formation. In the 2000s, advancements in brain imaging technologies like fMRI and EEG allowed scientists to visualize memory in action. These tools revealed how different brain regions, like the hippocampus and prefrontal cortex, work together to store and retrieve memories. Today, we're uncovering more about memory through neurogenetics and AI models. Scientists are linking genes to memory formation and using computational models to simulate how memory networks work in the brain. Imagine your brain is like a big toy box. Every time you learn something new, you put a toy in there. When you need it, you just reach in and grab it. But the brain isn't just a box. It's more like a magical place where memories are stored in special spots called neurons. If you practice something a lot, those bridges get stronger, so you can remember it better. It's like making a rope stronger by pulling on it. Sometimes, when you're trying to remember, your brain gets confused. But it's just like when you look for a toy in the wrong box. Eventually, you find it. So, remember, your brain is like a magical toy box, and memories are just toys you can find if you look hard enough. Before memory can be formed, the brain needs to be primed. This setup involves attention and focus, which help the brain prepare to encode new information. When you're truly engaged, your brain is ready to store what you're learning. Neurons in the brain, especially in the prefrontal cortex, become active during this stage. These brain cells communicate through electrical signals and chemical messengers, setting the stage for memory formation. This initial phase is like setting up a scene for a movie. The brain creates a temporary representation of the information you're taking in, ready to be processed and stored. During this setup, the brain also filters out distractions. It prioritizes what's important, which helps in forming a clearer and more accurate memory. The brain's readiness to encode new information is crucial. It's not just about what you're learning, but how prepared your brain is to remember it. Once the memory is encoded, it needs to be stored in the brain. This is where neurons come into play. They form connections called synapses, and these connections strengthen with repeated use. The brain uses a process called long-term potentiation to solidify memories. This is when the strength of a synapse increases after repeated stimulation, making the memory more stable over time. This strengthening of connections is not just physical. It also involves biochemical changes. Neurotransmitters like glutamate and proteins like CREB are key players in this process. The brain also uses a balance of excitation and inhibition to store memories. This helps prevent overloading and ensures that only the most relevant information is retained. Understanding this mechanism helps us see how memories are not just stored as static images, but as dynamic, living processes within the brain. Now, the brain doesn't just store information like a file cabinet. It actually reconfigures itself, creating new neural pathways to store and access memories more efficiently. This process is called synaptic plasticity, and it allows the brain to strengthen or weaken connections based on how often they're used. The more we use a memory, the stronger it becomes. This means memories aren't stored in one place, but rather in a network of interconnected regions. It's like having a puzzle where each piece is stored in a different part of the brain. And the more we recall a memory, the more stable and accessible it becomes, reinforcing the neural pathways and making it easier to retrieve in the future. This clever, dynamic process ensures that memories are not just stored, but actively maintained and updated in our ever-changing minds. At the core of memory lies a delicate dance of neurons firing in precise patterns. These electrical signals are like messages passed between cells, setting the stage for every memory we hold. When you recall something, your brain reconstructs the memory by reactivating those same neural pathways. It's not a playback, but a recreation, shaped by your current context and emotions. Neurotransmitters like glutamate and acetylcholine act as messengers, strengthening or weakening the connections between neurons. This is how your brain fine-tunes the memory over time. Even the most vivid memories are stored as patterns of electrical and chemical activity, not as static images. This is why memories can change, fade, or even be distorted over time. So imagine your brain as like a digital camera. It takes in the world, captures the light, and stores it in the memory card. Your brain's long-term storage. But unlike a camera, your brain doesn't just store everything. It's more like a smart camera that deletes old photos or keeps only the best ones. And when you want to recall something, it's like pulling up a photo from the camera roll. Your brain searches for the right file and brings it back. The difference is, your brain doesn't just store data. It interprets, connects, and even changes how it stores things over time. So while it's a silly analogy, it gets a lot right. Storage, retrieval, and the brain's incredible ability to manage information. Comment this emoji if you made it to the end. I remember the exact moment I first realized my mind was playing tricks on me. It was a quiet morning, the kind where time feels suspended and the world feels both real and unreal at once. I was trying to recall a conversation from the day before, but the words had slipped through my fingers like sand, leaving only a vague sense of what had been said. I started to wonder, how much of our lives do we really remember? Or are we just living inside a version of our own past that our brains have made up? The realization was both unsettling and profound. It made me question not just what I remembered, but who I thought I was. And so, So I began to look for the truth behind the stories my mind told me. Because sometimes the mind lies even when it means to remember. We're talking about the quiet, invisible way our minds betray us. How they rewrite the past, not to protect us, but to make sense of it. It's not a lie. It's a story our brain tells itself, shaped by emotion, context, and the ever-changing landscape of our thoughts. We remember events as if they were written in stone, but in reality, they're more like clay, malleable, fragile, and ever-changing. This fallibility isn't a flaw. It's a part of being human, a reflection of how we navigate the chaos of life with limited tools. And yet, in this uncertainty, there's something strangely profound. Our minds are not just recorders, but storytellers, always searching for meaning. So what we're really talking about is the fragile, beautiful, and often misleading way we try to remember who we are and what we've been through. You might think memory is just a record of the past, but it's more like a story you keep rewriting. Every time you recall something, you're not just remembering. It's like you're creating it again, piece by piece. The truth is, the brain doesn't store memories like a camera. It's more like a painter, filling in gaps with what makes sense, what fits the story you want to tell yourself. What we believe to be true about our past can shape our present, even if it's not entirely real. These false memories can influence our relationships, our choices, and even our sense of identity. You might not notice it at first, but the way you remember things can hurt you. It can lead you to trust the wrong people, repeat the same mistakes, or believe in a version of yourself that isn't real. And yet, it's not just about what's false, it's about what's missing. Memory is a fragile thing, and what it leaves out can be just as powerful as what it holds on to. So, maybe you should care. Not just about your own memories, but about the stories you tell yourself, the truths you accept, and the lives you build on them. In ancient Mesopotamia, scribes etched clay tablets with the hopes of preserving truth. But even then, memory was fragile, and the past was often rewritten to serve the present. The Greeks believed in the power of memory, yet they also warned of its fallibility. Homer's epics were passed down orally, shaping history as much as it shaped them. The Renaissance revived classical learning, but with it came the realization that even great minds could be deceived by their own recollections. Memory was both a gift and a trap. The Enlightenment brought reason and logic, yet it could not conquer the human mind's tendency to fabricate, to embellish, to forget, even when the truth was in plain sight. As we move into the modern age, memory remains a site of war, of bias, of distortion. We are haunted by what we can't remember, and by what we choose to forget. Imagine you're holding a toy that's been broken. You remember it as perfect, but it's not. Your mind just fills in the gaps. Your brain is like a puzzle. Sometimes it puts the pieces in the wrong place, even if you can't tell. You think you know what happened, but your memory is just a story you made up to feel safe. Sometimes the truth is hidden in the spaces between what you remember and what you think you remember. Your mind can lie to you, and you might not even know it. That's why it's important to ask questions. The mind is a storyteller, not a recorder. Every moment we experience is filtered through the lens of what we already know, what we expect, and what we believe to be true. Before we even begin to remember, our brains are already constructing a narrative. They shape the world around us into something familiar, something manageable, even if it isn't entirely accurate. In that moment, the brain does not simply recall. It interprets. It adds meaning, fills in gaps, and sometimes invents details that never happened, all in the name of coherence. This is not a flaw, but a function. The mind cannot store every detail of every moment. It must choose what to remember, and in doing so, it begins to lie to itself. The first step in the process of memory is not remembering. It is setting the stage for what will be remembered. And that stage is often built on assumptions, not facts. Once the initial memory is formed, the brain begins to restructure it. It doesn't store it like a photograph, but rather as a fragile, malleable narrative that can be altered with each retelling. Every time we recall an event, we're not retrieving the past, but reconstructing it. The brain fills in gaps with assumptions, emotions, and even recent experiences, shaping the memory anew. This reconstruction is not a mistake, but a necessity. The mind is not a recorder, but a storyteller. It weaves together fragments of truth and fiction to make sense of the world. The brain does this not to deceive, but to survive. It prioritizes coherence over accuracy and emotional clarity over factual precision. This is how we cope with the chaos of experience. And so, memory becomes a kind of lie, not in the sense of deceit, but in the sense of transformation. The past is not fixed, but fluid, shaped by the mind's need to make sense of what it cannot fully grasp. The mind, in its effort to preserve itself, begins to reframe the past to fit the present. It doesn't just forget, it reshapes, often without us noticing. This is the clever twist. Memory is not a recording, but a story. And like any story, it can be rewritten with each telling, each emotion, each new understanding. We are told that memory is the foundation of our identity. But what if it is, in fact, the illusion that allows us to live with the past, even when it no longer serves us? The mind's greatest deception is that it believes it is truthful. It lies to protect us, but in doing so, it may also betray us. So, when we recall a moment, we are not just remembering. We are creating, reimagining, and sometimes redefining who we once were. Neuroscience tells us memory is not a recording, but a reconstruction, a fragile, malleable act of the mind. Every time we remember something, we're not just recalling the past, we're shaping it, bending it to fit our present understanding. The brain fills in the gaps, often without us knowing, and those gaps can be filled with assumptions, biases, and even lies. This is why eyewitness testimony can be so unreliable, because the mind is not a witness, but a storyteller. The science doesn't just show memory's fallibility. It asks us to confront the uncomfortable truth that we may not know ourselves as well as we think. To remember is to recreate, and in that recreation, we are both the author and the reader of our own past. Imagine trying to pour water from one glass to another. But each time you lift the glass, the water level shifts, and you never quite remember how much was there before. You think you're keeping track, but the glass never feels the same, and the water never behaves as you expect. You're trying to remember something, but the memory is always slightly off. It's not the glass that's wrong, it's your mind. It's not the water that's changing, it's your memory. It's not the action that's flawed, it's your perception of it. This is what it's like to live with memory. It's not a perfect recording, it's a performance. A story we tell ourselves, shaped by the moment, the mood, and the meaning. We believe we remember, but in the end, we are all just trying to make sense of a world that doesn't always make sense. And ourselves, too. Comment this emoji if you made it to the end. You ever notice how some stories stick with you? Like a whisper in the dark, long after the light has gone out? They're not just stories. They're the echoes of a collective mind, shaped by time, belief, and the weight of what we choose to remember. These tales, myths, legends, oral histories, live in the spaces between memory and imagination, binding us to the past in ways we rarely question. We carry them like heirlooms, fragile and precious, passed down like secrets that refuse to fade. And in those moments, we are reminded that memory is not just a tool, It's a mirror, reflecting who we are and who we've been. So let's begin by asking, what do we remember, and why does it matter? We're talking about more than just the way we remember things. Memory is a kind of story, passed down through generations, shaped by the hands of time and the voices of those who came before us. It's the way a village remembers its first snowfall, or how a family holds on to the scent of a grandmother's perfume. Memory isn't just about what we keep. It's about what we choose to carry forward. And yet, memory is fragile. It can be lost, distorted, or even erased. But it is also powerful. It is the thread that connects us to the past, even when the past is no longer visible. So when we talk about memory and culture, we're talking about the collective mind, the stories that bind us, the myths that give us meaning, and the echoes of our ancestors that still live in our hearts. You think your memories are private, but they are shaped by the stories you've heard, the myths you've grown up with, and the collective mind that surrounds you. Every story you believe is a thread in the fabric of your identity. When you recall a moment, you're not just remembering yourself. You're remembering the world as it was told to you. The past isn't just personal, it's a shared inheritance, passed down in whispers and echoes. To ignore the collective stories you've inherited is to risk losing touch with the very roots of who you are. These stories are not just history. They are the foundation of your truth. You should care because the myths you believe in shape your choices, your fears, your hopes. They are the silent architects of your mind, and they are everywhere, waiting to be understood. We begin in the ruins of Mesopotamia, where the first written words were etched into clay. These symbols were not just records. They were echoes of a people's dreams and fears, their myths carried through time in the shape of a wedge. In Egypt, pharaohs were not just rulers, but gods made flesh. Their pyramids stood as monuments to a belief that memory could outlive the body, that the soul would one day return to the world through the stories they left behind. In the Middle Ages, memory was preserved through illuminated manuscripts, each page a prayer, a history, a fragment of a world that had been lost and found again in ink and gold. The Renaissance revived ancient wisdom, but also gave birth to new myths. Humanism became a kind of collective memory, a return to the self, yet always framed within the stories of the past. In the 19th century, memory became a battleground. Nationalism used history to forge identity, and myths were weaponized to shape a collective consciousness, often at the cost of truth. Today, we carry the weight of memory in digital form, yet the same myths still live in our stories, our rituals, and our shared dreams. The past is never far, and it speaks to us still. Memory is like a story that lives in your heart. It's not just about the facts, but how you feel when you remember them. When we remember, we're not just remembering the past. We're holding on to something that makes us who we are. The stories we pass down are like seeds. They grow into the trees of our culture, and we all share the shade they provide. Even when the world changes, the stories stay. They help us remember who we are, even when we can't remember everything. The first step in understanding memory is recognizing that it is not a singular thing, but a vast network of stories, passed down through generations, shaping who we are and how we see the world. These stories are not just words. They are echoes of the past, carried in the silence between sentences, and the pause before a memory is fully told. This is the setup. A moment, a place, a feeling. That becomes the foundation upon which memories are built and passed along. Without this foundation, memory becomes fragile, drifting like smoke, lost in the winds of time, without a place to land. To understand memory, we must first recognize its origin, not in the mind alone, but in the shared spaces where stories are planted and allowed to grow. The first step is the memory itself, raw and unfiltered, a spark in the dark. But it is not enough on its own. It needs to be shaped, given form, given meaning. This is where stories step in, weaving the memory into something that can be shared. They are the thread that holds the past together, the bridge between what was and what we remember. In this way, memory becomes more than a personal experience. It becomes part of something greater, a collective consciousness that binds us across time and space. It is not perfect, this process. Memories can fade, distort, or be lost. But in the act of remembering, we shape our identity, our history, and our place in the world. So, step 2 is not just about preservation. It is about transformation, about giving memory a form that can endure, that can be passed on, that can be felt by those who come after. The clever twist is not in the story itself, but in how it is remembered. It's the way we reinterpret the past to fit our present, shaping truth through the lens of what we need to believe. Myths are not just stories. They are living archives, passed down with the intent to preserve meaning, even if the details change. Memory becomes a tool for survival, not just remembrance. The twist is in the silence between the lines, in the spaces where memory falters and imagination fills in. It is how we hold on to what we know, even as the world changes around us. This is the power of memory, to transform, to adapt, to serve. It is not a mirror, but a map, one that we draw, rewrite, and hand down, shaping the world as we carry it forward. Beneath the stories we tell, there's a quiet science, a network of neurons firing, memories forming, and minds connecting across time and space. Our brains are not just vessels of memory, but bridges, linking the past to the present, and the individual to the collective. We remember not just to preserve, but to build, to create meaning in the chaos of existence, and to pass it forward through the generations. The science of memory is not cold or distant. It is the same pulse that beats in every story, every song, every shared moment of human connection. In the silence between words, the science hums, a reminder that memory is not just what we carry, but how we carry it together. Memory is like a river, not a mirror. It flows, it bends, it erases, and it reclaims what it once carried away. We think of memory as something we hold, but it's more like a current, something we ride, not something we own. Stories and myths are the stones in the riverbed. They shape the current, but they are also shaped by it. The collective mind is not a monument, but a river, always changing, always flowing, always carrying something new. To remember is to let the river carry you, not to control it, but to trust that it knows where it is going. Comment this emoji if you made it to the end. You wake up in a world where your memories are fading like ink in water, and you're not sure if what you remember is real or imagined. But what if you could remember not just your past, but also your future? What if the way we remember could shape the way we live? From the caves of Lascaux to the labs of today, humans have always sought to preserve their minds, to hold on to what makes them who they are. This is not just about memory. It's about identity, survival, and the fragile thread that connects our past to our present. So, what happens when we try to control our own minds? And can we trust what we remember? Or is it already slipping away? When we talk about memory, we're not just talking about recalling facts or names. We're talking about the very fabric of who we are. Our experiences, our emotions, the way we understand the world through time. Memory is not a single entity, but a complex system of encoding, storage, and retrieval. It's shaped by our biology, our environment, and the stories we tell ourselves about the past. But memory is also fragile. It can fade, distort, or even be rewritten by time, emotion, and external influences. That's why the quest to enhance and preserve it has been a constant thread through human history. Throughout the ages, people have sought to protect their memories through art, ritual, and writing, while science now offers tools to understand and strengthen them in ways we're only beginning to grasp. You might think memory is just about remembering things, but it's actually about who you are. Every moment you remember shapes your identity, your choices, and your sense of self. To forget is to lose a piece of yourself. When we neglect our memory, we're not just forgetting facts. We're losing the context of our lives. Memories are the threads that weave the fabric of our personal history, and they're more fragile than we realize. Modern science tells us that memory isn't just a passive record. It's an active process that requires attention, repetition, and emotional connection. Neglecting it can lead to a cascade of cognitive decline that affects more than just your mind. The tools we use to preserve memory today are just as important as the techniques our ancestors used. Whether it's a journal, a photograph, or a digital archive, they all serve the same purpose: to keep our stories alive. So, why should you secretly care about memory? Because it's not just about what you remember. It's about who you are, who you've been, and who you choose to become. Your memory is your legacy, and it's worth protecting. We begin in ancient Greece, where memory was not just a tool but an art. The Greeks crafted memory palaces, mental landscapes where knowledge could be stored and retrieved with precision. This method, honed by philosophers like Aristotle, laid the foundation for how we still think about memory today. In medieval Europe, memory was a sacred craft. Monks meticulously copied texts, using mnemonics and symbols to preserve knowledge. Their silent devotion ensured that wisdom, though fragile, could endure through centuries of war and upheaval. The Renaissance brought a renaissance of the mind. Humanists like Leonardo da Vinci combined art and science to unlock memory's potential. They used association, imagery, and emotion to make knowledge vivid and lasting, bridging the ancient past with the modern age. As the 19th century unfolded, memory became a subject of scientific inquiry. Psychologists like Hermann Ebbinghaus began to quantify it, measuring forgetting curves and testing recall. The mind, once a mystery, was now a puzzle to be solved. In the 20th and 21st centuries, memory has become a frontier of neuroscience. From brain scans to AI models, we now explore memory at the cellular and digital level. Yet, the fundamental questions remain: how to enhance it, how to preserve it, and what does it mean to remember? Memory is like a picture in your mind. Every time you learn something, you're drawing that picture. But if you don't look at it often, it gets blurry. So, to keep your memories clear, you have to look at them again and again. Like when you practice a song, you're keeping the melody in your head. When you're trying to remember, it's like solving a puzzle. You look for the pieces you know and fit them together to see the whole picture. And if you're worried about forgetting, just remember, your brain is like a library. You don't have to memorize everything, just keep the important books close. Before we dive into the mechanics, it's crucial to understand the foundation, the mental setup that prepares the mind for memory work. This is where intention and focus take root, shaping the space in which memory will be cultivated. Imagine the mind as a garden. The first step is to clear the weeds, to create a quiet space where thoughts can grow without distraction. This mental clearing is the starting point of every effective memory practice. Setting up for memory work is not about perfection, but about presence. It's about creating a mental environment where attention is undivided and where the mind is open to receive and retain information. This preparation is the invisible foundation, the groundwork that allows memory to flourish. It's not just about what you learn, but how you learn it, with purpose and intention. In both ancient and modern practices, the first step is always the same: to set the stage, to align the mind, and to create the right conditions for memory to thrive. Once the memory is encoded, the brain must consolidate it. This is where the hippocampus steps in, acting like a temporary storage hub that stabilizes the memory for long-term retention. Consolidation is not just about storing the memory. It's about organizing it. The brain weaves the new information into existing neural networks, creating a more robust and connected memory trace. Without this consolidation, memories remain fragile and susceptible to interference. This is why repetition and meaningful context are so important in strengthening memory retention. As consolidation takes place, the brain also begins to prune unnecessary connections, making the memory more efficient and accessible over time. This is the second step in the memory process, consolidation. It is a quiet but powerful act of the brain, shaping the way we remember and learn throughout our lives. The clever twist lies in the way our brains are wired to find patterns. We don't just remember facts. We connect them to emotions, images, and stories that give them meaning. This is why ancient methods like the method of loci used familiar spaces to anchor abstract ideas. It's not just memory, it's meaning, and meaning makes us remember. Modern science now confirms this. When we link new information to something we already know, we create a neural bridge that strengthens memory. This twist is not just clever, it's essential. Memory isn't about repetition, it's about transformation. It's about turning data into something we feel, see, and live. And so, the clever twist isn't just a technique, it's a revelation. It reminds us that memory is not passive. It's active, creative, and deeply human. Beneath the surface of memory, there's a complex symphony of brain cells firing in precise patterns, each neuron a participant in the dance of recollection. Modern science has mapped these neural pathways, revealing how memories are not stored in one place, but spread across the brain like a network of interconnected cities. Studies show that sleep is not just rest. It's a time when the brain replays and strengthens memories, much like a musician practicing a piece before a performance. And now, with tools like fMRI and EEG, scientists can see the brain in action, tracing the echoes of memory as it hums through the circuits of consciousness. This science is not just about understanding memory. It's about giving us a deeper sense of who we are and how we can protect the fragile, beautiful act of remembering. Memory is like a library. Every experience is a book, and the mind is the librarian who must organize, catalog, and recall them all. But unlike a library, the mind doesn't always keep things in order. Sometimes books get misplaced, forgotten, or even lost in the chaos of daily life. The key is not to memorize everything, but to understand how to find what you need when you need it. Memory is not about perfection, but about efficiency. In the end, the mind is not a vault, but a garden. We must tend it with care, prune the unnecessary, and water the memories that matter most. So let's tend our minds with the same care we'd give a garden. Let's cultivate memory, not just store it. And in doing so, we might just remember what truly matters. Comment this emoji if you made it to the end.